Thank you, Henry. We have some questions, so I'll show them to you. Some questions in relation to the installation process, since these are distributed, these sensor modules. Has there been a noticeable impact on the integrity of the monitoring system or sensors? How do you manage the situation of theft or damage? What about reliability and calibration? Can you give some more information?
Yeah, so theft, we haven't actually had anyone report a theft. If it's damaged, we typically, and the school lets us know, we typically replace it. CO2 sensors, they're NDIR, and they have a self-calibrate. We don't actually care what the absolute level of CO2 is. What we care is how much CO2 is in the room from human breath. And that's actually really easy to work out in schools. You just, particularly UK schools are so leaky that over the weekend they're getting to close to ambient levels. That's not a problem. PM, we're more worried about that. And we haven't got a good way to deal with long-term drift. So it's just something we're working with the sensor manufacturer to try and quantify over the years as we move on. But we're lucky the manufacturer does a lot of calibration work using reference grade devices. So that's a good relationship to have.
And for the outdoor parameters, yeah, you already showed that you use other sets of monitoring systems. And for CO2, you rely on the assumption that indoor CO2 during the weekends and holidays is equal to the outside. Do you have additional ones?
No, so we don't measure CO2. We're about to start a deployment in about 100 schools where we'll put monitors in the playground, and they will, low-cost monitors in the playground, they will measure the same metrics in the playground that we measure indoors. But the government sites are all reference grade devices, but they don't measure carbon dioxide. They measure, well, each site measures a slightly different thing, but they all measure PM 2.5.
Okay, thank you. And then a bit of a challenging question, I think, for the schools in more urban settings, so those with high PM during winter, how do we find the sweet spot of managing carbon dioxide, radon, but not allowing excessive PMs from outside?
Yeah, I mean, radon is typically not the biggest concern in UK schools. We do have schools in radon areas, but in terms of the school set, relatively few. And the head teachers have a legal responsibility rather, to monitor radon. So we don't. So if the question's managing a sweet spot between CO2 and excessive PMs, I have no really good answer to that. I mean, I guess, in comparison to, say, James's data, the UK has typically low levels of PM, and that's even more true elsewhere that I've been involved in monitoring. I think what we've got to do is get a handle on children's total exposures. So what we really want to do is start monitoring their homes simultaneously with their schools and put wearables on them in between, so that we can understand. My suspicion, and obviously I have no evidence for this, is that the PM exposure during transport and homes is probably more significant than they're experiencing at schools. So then at schools, we can focus very much on reducing sort of exposure to each other's breath and focus on reducing infection risk, for example, and not be so worried about the fact that we might fractionally elevate the PM exposure, and then separately, deal with education at home and about transport choices to try and mitigate PM exposures there. But yeah, that's work in progress, I think.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave the last question. Maybe we have some time in the end